I have a letter from Nine Mobile.
Yes,
We requested for your CEO to be here,
yes, sir.
and we also requested for Mr. Bello Osage to be
Yes,
here.
sir. Yes, sir.
I will make first reference to the first letter requesting for your CEO.
Yes, sir.
You send a CTO,
Yes.
Chief Technical
Yes.
Officer.
Yes.
You see, right here, if you're in our meeting yesterday, I have the Quran, I have the Bible, for one reason alone. We want some of you to speak under oath. Under oath, because the country is watching what we're doing here. This is an investigation. There are heads of parastatals here. We might require them to take an oath, but it's not necessary because they've already they administer oath when they resume office. But this is an investigation, I repeat. So for Nine Mobile, it's important that your CEO is here. We are not joking here. We are not joking here. And all this overreaching the process, delaying what we are doing here is not going to take us anywhere. It's not going to help your company. We have nothing to lose. Do you understand me? It's in the interest of this country. And I repeat, public interest. Override whatsoever rights you have in this country. You get your license from Nigeria, so you must obey our laws. It's very, very important. We need a template where serious investors can come into this country and do business. As a rider to that, when you go out there, serious companies that want to borrow money from banks or investors, they ask for sovereign guarantee. There's a reason why they ask for that. Because they feel our laws are weakened. When they bring in their money, they will lose their money. So that's why they ask for sovereign guarantee. So what happened? I don't know how to address you. Is it emerging market? Is it Nine Mobile? Is it Etisalat? Whatsoever you call it. We are lifting the veil in the sense that something happened. And the public has the right to know. And please, please, I don't want anybody to play this card saying people will lose their job. We all know that when it comes to issues like this, Nigerian workers are vulnerable. Nigerian workers are always vulnerable. They pay the price because your shareholders will still go home smiling. Your assets are intact. Then you keep playing this card that I don't understand. At the end of the day, you sack workers and it's business as usual. And it's only in this country, where what happened. I'm not trying to preempt this investigation. It's only in this country that what happened, the transition between Etisalat and Nine Mobile will happen, and no one is asking questions. And the CEO is somewhere drinking coffee as we speak. Now, I need an explanation for that. I don't know whether to call this concept, or I don't even know what to call it, but whatsoever it is, I know you can get the best lawyers in this world, right, to defend your case. But let me remind you, the public interest overrides whatsoever you're saying. And we're going to set an example. We're going to set the record straight. Because you've seen even the EVC going everywhere, talking of how important this industry is. And will not allow any company to destroy it. Let me tell you, Nigeria has the market. Nobody can deny that. The peace and security you enjoy is a privilege, and you must not abuse it. People are interested in coming here because of the environment. I don't want you to speak. You are not going to speak here because I requested for the CEO. We've looked into this book and I'm shocked. The balances are annoying, and that is why I'm speaking from a position of anger. I'll repeat. We'll do you another letter. I want your CEO. This committee wants your CEO. One. And you see, Mr. Bello Osage, you find a way to bring him before this committee. If not doing public hearing, we'll find a way of bringing him in here in the interest of public interest. We cannot discuss Nine Mobile without Etisalat. You may take your leave. Airtel. I think the next letter we're going to do to Airtel Nigeria, if your CEO refused to turn up, we'll issue a warrant of arrest. I want you to take note of that. It's very, very serious.
Well noted, Mr. Chairman. Apologies once again.
I think we need to speed up this process, but first let me ask, where is the chairman of IRS?
Sir, the number was switched off, and I called a coordinating director in the airport, and they said they are
asking questions. We're trying as much as possible, and if you've been following this investigation, you try as much as possible not to discuss specific figures as they relate to each company. Government agencies are here. There are statutory contributions that were expected from most of these companies. And we don't want to contradict each other. That's why we need it here. Issue of VAT on recharge card is very serious. We want to get to the root of this matter, because if that has been properly checked, I don't think this nation will be crying for funds. I repeat, because anywhere in the world, even to a kindergarten or a primary school student, 1 + 1 is 2. But unfortunately, somehow, in this society, some part of this society, 1 + 1 is 0. And I don't need to be a mathematician to understand this. And that's why we need him here. 5% on recharge card. Please tell me which bank is warehousing this money. Is it CBN or where? Something happened somewhere. Fund disappeared somewhere. This percentage disappeared one way or the other. That's why I asked after EFCC. And I'm glad EFCC witnessed what just happened with 9 Mobile. So I want you guys to note that down for the future of this industry. Because one thing that we need to understand, if the bigger companies are trying to swallow the smaller ones, then you must do what is right. You must follow the laws of this country. Though that is not fair, for I don't know whether you call it competition whatsoever, it is not fair. But you cannot be doing the wrong things and at the same time trying to swallow the smaller companies. So where is fairness? So FIRS is not here. So what are we going to discuss? If the former chairman is here, why is he not here? And we need about from 2005 to date. Because we need to understand what happened to this 5%. And trust me, whatsoever figures you give to me, I'm not going to work with it. And I'll tell you why. Because our team, they've done a very good homework. And we know how people take advantages of our laws, our loopholes, and turn it into their profit. So he's not here. And we want Nigerians to listen to what he has to say. And I made it clear yesterday that we're going to discuss VAT. So I feel this is deliberate. Can someone tell me if I'm wrong? I want you to correct me if what I'm saying is wrong, if this is not deliberate.
Honorable Chair, that cannot be deliberate, sir. With due respect, sir.
Really? Really? I have a colleague who is a witness because he came forward yesterday and he said to this committee that he has a function or what? Yeah. Honorable Ezekiel, please speak on my behalf for 1 minute.
Yeah. He came forward and said he has
And we told him that his presence here is very, 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 very important to our findings, that he must be here, and he accepted. So for him to be absent today is actually something I can't explain. And he should know the importance of this committee. Chairman, I think you have oversaid it. Maybe we'll give him like 1 or 2 hours and then we'll use our necessary laws because nobody can take us for a ride.
You said it's not deliberate. You just listened to my colleagues, right?
Honorable sir, I'm putting it correctly that it's not deliberate. The reason is that right from yesterday, they have called me. I went to Kaduna and I had to return back so that I can assemble the necessary papers for the chairman. And this morning, the officers were already waiting for him. The coordinating director of support services were waiting for him to come, but I had to come ahead of time so that I'm here in case he arrives. And when I asked,
you know, I think I'll simply just call it what it is: misplaced priorities. Yeah. He has more important thing to do than to come and discuss something that has to do with this country. It's as simple as that. The chief taxman, he has more important things to do. I don't want you to speak here anymore. We'll go straight to lottery, please. Acting DG Lottery Commission. Before that, I want to say my sincere here. We can move forward in the areas that we want to discuss this morning, because obviously the chief taxman is not here. He has more important things to do, and we're going to look into it. We'll seek advice and see how we're going to go forward. Excuses should not be tolerated in any parliament in the world. And if it means we're going to establish that, we'll do that. Everybody here has things to do. There are people that flew in from Lagos. There are people that flew in from South Africa or whatsoever. And FIR's headquarters is just down the lane there, and he has more important things to do. So my sincere apology. Today is going to be the end of public hearing. The chairman of FIRS knew we were going to discuss that. He is not here. So obviously, we all know what is happening, except if he walks in here this minute. So I think for the interest of everybody here, we'll go straight to lottery and take one or few presentation. Head of government agency, my apology as well, because you have one or two things to say, but he is not here. So we don't want to be having conflicting stories. Because I remember one of our meetings, he said this, and some of the head of government agencies says another thing. So please, Acting DG.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the National Lottery Regulatory Commission, let me express my profound gratitude for the privilege of addressing this special occasion. For truly, this is democracy in action. Today, as part of its constitutional oversight function, the committee is engaging with members of the public and stakeholders on the operational activities of telecommunications. I thank the chairman for giving me this opportunity to express our goodwill at this forum. The National Lottery Regulatory Commission is a federal government agency entrusted with the responsibility of regulating business and operations of lottery in Nigeria. Since its establishment in 2005, the Commission has worked diligently to earn the trust of Nigerians. This is particularly so as our efforts are linked to delivering revenue for public good causes or general welfare projects such as education, health, sports, natural disaster, and any other social development enterprises. Our consistent focus has been on keeping the lottery transparent, crime-free, fair, at the same time protecting the vulnerable members of the society and making lottery remittance to government to the greatest extent possible. The Nigerian telecommunication industry has experienced rapid growth since its advent, with attendant opportunities, benefits, challenges, and shortcomings to all stakeholders. As with the various parts of our personal and commercial lives, the telecommunication sector plays a significant role as a distribution channel in the Nigerian lottery industry. Given the proliferation of internet and mobile gaming, sports betting, virtual/fantasy betting, and similar gaming practices, telecommunications companies are outpacing traditional retail and manual lottery channels. It's only befitting that lottery stakeholders and the general public participate and are duly informed of the prevailing practice in this sector. The importance of the telecommunications sector cannot be overemphasized. Hence the need to harness the industry's potential in fostering social economic development and promote its continued growth. To do so, we must first recognize the challenges to progress and create sustainable solutions to effectively eliminate them. It is my expectation that this public hearing shall provide the platform for frank discussion and constructive dialogue. Finally, on our own part, the National Lottery Regulatory Commission shall continue to seek and foster partnership among stakeholders who play a key role in the development and sustenance of the lottery, of the lottery industry. Our emphasis shall be to raise regulatory standards in the Nigerian lottery industry and deliver our statutory mandate. We value our stakeholders and encourage participants to freely voice their issues or concerns together. And together we can bring the progress that we all desire. I wish you all a pleasant and productive deliberation, sir. And I would also like to make this this forum. Please indulge us, and please let us hear whatever concern that the Commission can play in resolving any issues that has to do with the lottery. We have since seen that some certain things were not taken into consideration when lottery was started in Nigeria. It's now a very technically driven industry, so whereby there should be a lot of collaboration amongst all stakeholders. Thank you very much, sir.
As well as national lottery regulatory commissions. So we work with the mobile network operators to run mobile-based lotteries, to be specific, amongst other value-added services that we provide. And on behalf of myself and my colleagues from the vast industry, we would like to say a big thank you once again for the opportunity given to us to share our position on the current rules and regulations surrounding mobile-based lottery and promotion services. As we all know, we have had a long-standing and fruitful relationship with the NLRC, being our regulatory partner for the aforementioned mobile-based lottery services. Majority of us here, being licensees of the NLRC, have worked together to come up with some positions for which we are seeking consideration from the Honorable Committee and the NLRC. I would like to add that we have, however, begun the process of engaging the NLRC, and we appreciate the audience given to us so far. But today, however, we'll still like to share our views for the public in anticipation of coming to agreeable and final conclusions with the NLRC. My colleague is also here with me. He'll shed some light on some brief details of our position that we've put down, which we would also submit to the House after this meeting. And once again, we seek the cooperation of all distinguished parties present here today. Thank you.
I'm the head of business development, Cloud Interactive Associate. As mentioned by Shola, we want to make a presentation on the rules and guidelines of the operations of mobile lottery on the network. Now, recently we got a letter from the Commission that the 4.5%, that there is a 4.5% deductions that we need to make to the Commission. And the 4.5% is to be speaking to the gross as against the net proceed that it used to be. So this didn't go too well with most of the lottery operator, and that forms the basis of our recommendations and presentation to the Lottery Commission. And as my colleague mentioned, we are getting an audience from them, and we would like as well to call the attention of all stakeholders to this effect. Now, in addition, the current National Lottery Act 2005 seems to address mostly the mainstream or the traditional lottery. And the reason for this is if you look at section 20, 24, 35, and 57 of the Act, it's the following can be deduced that the average period of a license granted by the National Lottery Regulatory Commission is ranging from a minimum period of 5 years to a maximum of 15 years. But in the case of operations of lottery on the network, we run lottery for a minimum of 2 weeks, and it can go to an average of 1 year or thereabouts. Now, also in the Act, it can be deduced that a minimum of 50% is to be paid to the trust fund. Now, but lottery run on the on the network, the prize fund is predetermined. It means if you want to run a lottery on the network space, you decide the amount you want to give out to the subscriber on the network operator. And whether you make profit or not, you have to give this amount out. So the prize fund for lottery run on the network operator space is like your risk level that you are willing to give out, regardless of whether it is profitable or not. And thirdly, on the, in the Act, we stipulate that 20% of the net proceeds of the lottery is to be paid into the National Lottery Trust Fund account. And this should be for 20% for a period of 5 years, and then 25% for the next 5 years, and 27.5% for the subsequent 5 years. But like I mentioned before, that the net proceeds of a promo can be 0 or negative, depending on your strategy and your commitment to running the promo. That's what determines if a promo gets profitable or not. Now, these all points are taken into consideration to prove the fact that the Act actually is speaking strictly to traditional or mainstream promotions and not specifically for promos on the network. But however, there is a guidelines or a rule which has been adopted by the National Lottery Regulatory Commission, empowered by the Section 7 of the Act. Now, these guidelines is what we've been using over time, and it's been fine with us because it addresses most of these concerns that are raised. Now, like I mentioned, the twist is recently when we got a letter that the 4.5% should be to the gross and not the net, as against the net that it used to be. And therefore, we are making the following recommendation, that the National Lottery Regulatory Commission should re-adopt the template or the rules that was in place that addresses most of the challenges of promos that are run on the network in or against the conventional or mainstream lottery. And the template is actually detailed in this presentation. And secondly, in collaboration with concerned licensee, that the Act be further amended to accommodate promos on the network operator space while accounting for all the platform-specific challenges, including modern digital and telecoms element for alignment and arrival at conclusion. We also seek for proper clarification need to be made between specific loyalties and game-based initiatives, which may focus on skills and point acquisitions as against general lottery, which is pure chance-based. Also, we are asking that in scenario where a VAS provider intends to implement a promotion to drive its products, example, content services, which are digital products, VAS providers should not be expected to pursue any form of permits from the Lottery Commission. A CPC permit should suffice for this scenario in addition to the NCC approval. Now, this point is made because whenever we run promo on the network operator, we get approval or permit from the National Lottery Commission. We also get approval from the CPC, and also we get approval from NCC. Now, these different regulatory bodies have their specific rules or guidelines upon which the amount of fee payable to them is being computed. But when you have a promo that is intended to be riding on a digital product, for example, if Coca-Cola wants to run a promo on
their product, Coca-Cola. You know, maybe the intention of such promo may be to boost acquisition or revenue. In such case, a Consumer Protection Council permit should suffice. Now, any subsequent MOU undertaking and guidelines that may be developed pursuant to Section 7 of the 2005 Act should take into cognizance the current reality in the telecom space, which include revenue shares to MOU, which are deducted upfront. So these are recommendations, and in some way, as I mentioned before, our point is to apply Section 7 of the Act, which states that most guidelines or rules that are to be made by the National Lottery Commission should be in collaboration with the VAS operators. And if we are allowed to sit down together as the company, the VAS provider, and the National Lottery Commission, will be able to make meaningful rules that will be beneficiary to all and sundry. Thank you very much.
My name is Daniel Oladapo Yebanjo, also known as the Coco Master, the Banj, and I'm the chairman and CEO of the DKM Media and the Cream Platform. I'm here on behalf of the creative industry, to be specific, content creators, content owners, such as musical content, video content, comedy, fashion, or whatsoever, as we call it, creative value-added service. We would like to thank the telecom industry and also the National Lottery Regulatory Commission for their support in the past in terms of distributing our musical content or our creative content. But we've had issues, and that's why we are here. And we're here to only plead that there's a solution from the Honorable Chairman or the House of Committee to see how creatively we can enhance better rev share and how we can also protect our intellectual properties across the industry. I would like to share a little story about the distribution platforms. All around the world today, the telco industry provide for us, the creative industry, a distribution channel, a distribution platform, whereby when we create our content, we can distribute it through them. E.g. of such platforms are iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, or different global distribution channels. But it's only in, I would say it's only in Nigeria that the distribution platforms earn more rev shares than the content owners and content creators. And that's why we are here today, to say that if there's a way whereby we can work on a proper regulatory agreement whereby not just one telco, but all the telcos have a standard agreement of what comes to them for distributing our creative content. Because what happens is that a lot is put into I'll take an example, a music video or a song that is created, from studio time that is spent to songwriting, to music production, then coming up to marketing that song and producing and then releasing that song to the public. All these costs are not being considered when distributing on the telco platforms. And that has been an issue for us, because when we've done the research in the past, we've seen that the industry, even though they say piracy is killing us and they say that we are not bankable, we see that we are generating a lot of revenue, but only peanuts comes to the creative owners. And that's why we are here, that globally, two things are put in place to help put this in check. One is a publishing company. A publishing company helps you monitor if the content owners, songwriters, or content makers are even getting what is due to them in the first place. But right now, we don't even know if the owner of a song, or the songwriter, or the owner of the script is being paid at all. So that's why we are here to employ and say that in order to help us grow our industry, we need to do different types of promos, we need to do different types of lotteries, give back to our own fans and consumers. But if we don't have the support of the telcos, and if we don't have the support of the NNRC to make sure that the right rev share comes to us, we will never be able to recoup, and as they will say, we will never be able to serve ourselves or even feed ourselves. So thank you so much for bringing this committee. Once I will say thank you also for giving us the opportunity, but publishing company and a better rev share for the creative industries so that we can create more jobs is why we
ask my question this way for both regulators and telcos. Because I learned in the last interface that we've had, you stated that telecommunication companies deduct as much as 60% of the total stake, thereby leaving the lottery trust fund and winnings by the public with a mere 40% as against 70%. Now, the 20% that is left for the fund and 50% for the public in winnings, take a note of the above. Do you think the Commission has discharged its responsibilities as described in the Act?
The lottery industry has grown so much, and technology, as we all know, has taken the forefront of the industry of doing business. But I want to say this in regards to the revenue share. It's been a concern that I personally, and during my years as a regulator in Lagos State, I felt that the sharing formula between the telcos and the operators was very unfair. Considering that we need to take into consideration, most importantly, and I'm emphasizing on this, the integrity of the industry. And where does the integrity come in? When there's lack of transparency, when there's lack of responsibilities on the end of the on behalf of from the operators to make winnings being payable to the stakers, and also for the running operations of that company itself, where we see that the telcos are taking as much as 60–70%. How will the operator be able to pay the winnings and also to keep their business floating? So I think this committee needs to look into that. We have look into that in collaboration with the regulatory authority for the telcos, the NCC. The Commission itself, we're already collaborating with LCC on meeting on looking at all these aspects as well. So we're not doing this in isolation. We're looking at everything in totality, so that we can get these aspects resolved in fairness to everybody that are stakeholders in this. So, sir, we're reviewing this. We've started talking with all our stakeholders, and we're going to make the necessary adjustments that needs to be done. But I stand by my presentation now. The revenue sharing has to be taken into consideration and it has to be reviewed. Thank you.
The sharing formula already, which is, I think, 70-30. So that means anything other than that is a violation of the Act. It is well spelled out. And by that violation, we're cheating the public. We're cheating the public. And we're also cheating, okay, and the responsibility of the trust fund, which is also to fund certain projects, I think maybe sporting project or so, would not be able to work out. So I think it is very, very important. You didn't need to come here to resolve this issue with NCC. It's something that should have been resolved a long time ago. Because to me, the telcos have been exploiting the people. Like Mr. Oyebanji said something, you create maybe a project or you create something, and you get less than the telcos. I don't think that is proper. So I think it is very important that NCC and the Commission should sit down and look at it. And if you feel there's a need to amend the bill, then you bring it to us.
Thank you very much. If I can quickly address that. Yeah, these were the things that I have highlighted, and we're going to be looking, reviewing that as well. I'm meeting with NCC next week. We've had a series of meetings, and we're going to also meet again next week. So these are things that are ongoing. I just wanted the committee to be aware of this, that we're very much aware, we're not immune to all this. Like I said, a lot of changes need to be made, both in our own act and wherever other regulatory authorities do have. We need to take different things into consideration moving forward. Thank you.
So if California could be doing over 400 billion through entertainment, and these young men took the pain to create an industry out of nothing, I think it is fair to appreciate them. Fair in the sense that if the bigger companies are taking advantage of our laws, we need to review whatsoever that is wrong in our laws. It's very, very important. Because if this industry grows bigger than it is, it creates jobs, then our teeming youth are engaged. So whatsoever arrangement that we have right now, I think is unfair. And if you all agree with me, sometimes it's not all about making profits. You all do, I believe that you are expected to do CSR and all that. Maybe you should take a look at this industry and realize that there's a need for something to be done. I listened to the band while he was making his presentation, and it's quite touching. I'm a young man myself. If I'm not seated here, probably I'll be in the creative industry. And I don't want to be taken advantage of. So we're going to take your submission. I'm not trying to take side, but anywhere in the world, what is fair is fair. We have unfair contract terms in contract laws and all that. So we cannot sneak what is unfair into our laws. Probably when it was drafted, nobody knew these young men are going to come up with something creative. It's a big industry, and we must allow it to grow, whether we like it or not. DSTV are making billions. That true creativity. So it's not an industry that will just say, oh, they are young men. It doesn't work that way. Fairness is key. So if the industry is telling us about it, the big telcos are telling us about the problems we are having, Forex and what have you, we listen and we talk to CBN. But if you seek fairness, if you seek equity, you must come with clean hands. It's as simple as that. Any laws you look at is written in gold. Equity, you must come with fairness. So don't look at your pains alone. You have the power to grow this industry. Why not do that? So we're going to look at your submission, and we'll take that into our report. And I think all the stakeholders need to sit and review some of these things. Because if you don't, they are speaking out now politely. That is the word, politely. I think enough has been said. Honorable Shaibu.
The law has taken care of their concern. It's only that the agency that is saddled with the responsibility of enforcing the law has not been able to live up to its expectation, because the law says 50% goes to the public, 30% goes to the telecom, 20% goes to the trust fund. That's what it is. So I think it's very fair. Unless the law is reviewed, I think we have to conform with what is existing for now. And that 50%, I think, is adequate enough for now. But if there is any need for any review, then we have to review the law. But the law is very clear. Thank you.
Just to that, I lay emphasis on fairness. That is me being diplomatic. The truth is, the 30% is the law. So I want you to register that. Using the word fairness is just me appealing to your conscience. But the law states 30%. Thank you very much.
May I leverage on this opportunity you granted me to make one simple comment and to resolve concerning the absence of the man in charge of Federal Inland Revenue Services. Mr. Chairman, I think enough is enough. We're talking about issues concerning and bordering Nigeria, so it's a huge concern. I think the principal person that we need to see, as far as this committee is concerned, is the man at the helm of affairs. And I'm of the opinion that we have to send a message to him in concrete terms in our legislative parlance by moving a motion, because the man representing him here, or any other person, or other persons that are representing him here, they are not supposed to give us any feedback based on any excuses of any manner. Therefore, Mr. Chairman of this committee, I want to move that within the time frame you are going to issue him any other letter to come and see us, if he fails to come, that this committee will issue a warrant of arrest to bring him to this place. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, sincerely apologize once again. The public hearing comes to an end, but we still need to bring together the Lottery Commission, the telcos, and whatsoever is our finding. We'll keep communicating with ICPC and EFCC. And in our subsequent meeting, committee meeting, we'll have to invite Mr. Tunde Fowler again, and the committee will decide on what to do. It's going to be inconclusive. Let me tell you what's happening. I will not, as chairman of this committee, allow an organization or a company to ambush what we're doing here. Because if we put out the questions now, he comes better prepared. I understand the game. And we won't do that. That's why we wanted everybody to be at the same time, and we'll put out the question out there. But you see, the tactics is working so far, but the next time, it's not going to be us. We're actually going to issue a warrant of arrest, and it's as simple as that, because we cannot drag on this investigation for too long. We have things to do, honestly. So we do understand what is happening. Yesterday, I made it clear what is going to be the basics of today's hearing. And now, it's nowhere. There are other chairmen that are supposed to be here. I want to thank Alhaji Kabir Mashi for honoring our hearing. It means a lot. This is not the first committee that I've been part of, that you've been invited and you've always make yourself present. We really appreciate you for that. The rest, I don't know what is going on.
He came and spoke to you. So when we went out, he said, I told him, okay, what do we do? He said, no, we should try to come today. We agreed with him, and I don't know what happened between yesterday and today, but honestly, he had the intention to come. I tried to reach him, but his phones are switched off, maybe at the B line. I sent a text to him, urging him to try to come. So please, Chairman, I plead with you to temper justice with mercy. Understand the circumstance. I have been a chief executive. Sometimes you are divided in between this one calling you, this one calling you. So please, before you take decision, hear him. I'm appealing to the committee to do that, please.
My sincere apology to all the CEOs that are here and head of parastatals. I'm sure you've been following this hearing and you all understood what happened. Again, my sincere apology and custom. I want to thank you for coming. We'll fix a date, not for a public hearing, a committee hearing to discuss some of the issues that we can't just discuss at this point. I also want to second.
My name is Aldi Joseph again. I second the motion as moved by Honorable Darlington. I so second.
I want you to move for adjournment, please.
Okay. I, Honorable Ezekiel Alaji, do hereby move that to adjourn this sitting Senator.
Seconder.
Good luck, what you are seconded. I hereby second.
This hearing is hereby adjourned.